All right, let's get right into it. For centuries, nobody really questioned what money was. It was simple. The government made it, the government controlled it, end of story. But that's all changing. Right now, there's this quiet but absolutely massive battle going on for the future of money. And what we're looking at is a huge clash between two completely different ideas.
And look, this isn't just some boring, abstract debate for economists. No way. The winner of this fight is literally going to decide how you save, how you spend, and how you move your money around for years, maybe even decades. So the real question we have to ask is, who's going to win control of what's inside your wallet?
So think about it. For ages, money was basically a government monopoly, right? They printed it, the big central banks managed it, and we all just kind of trusted the system. But then, boom. A little technological spark created a whole new kind of digital money, and it's threatening to upend that entire system.
I mean, money has always been changing. It wasn't always paper and coins. We started out just bartering, trading a goat for some grain. Then we moved on to things like shells or gold and silver, and eventually, we got to the fiat money we have now, basically paper that's only valuable because the government says so. Well, as you can see here, we've hit the next big step in that evolution. Welcome to the age of digital money.
And this quote, it just nails it. With the emergence of crypto money, the perspective on money, which is a public monopoly, has changed. See, crypto wasn't just another piece of tech. It was a whole new philosophy. The big idea was decentralization, this vision of financial freedom where you, the individual, could create and send money without having to ask anyone for permission.
So this big disruption has basically created two totally different paths for the future of digital cash. In one corner, you've got the private, decentralized world of crypto. And in the other corner, you've got the government's official response. Let's break down these two main contenders.
Okay, so on one side, you've got your private crypto, like Bitcoin. You can kind of think of this as the Wild West of digital money. It's decentralized, run by a whole community of users. But then, on the other side, you've got the government's answer, something called a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. And this is totally different. It's basically digital government cash, fully centralized and controlled by a central bank.
So what's the big deal with private crypto? Well, it all comes down to one word: independence. The whole point is that sending money should be your choice. You shouldn't need a thumbs up from a bank or a government official. That idea, that vision of, being in total control of your own finances, that's the core appeal. Now, a CBDC, well, that's the state fighting back. It's pretty much the government saying, hey, we see you guys like this digital money stuff, so we're going to make our own version. The goal is to create something that's secure, stable, and backed by the government, all while making sure the central bank stays firmly in charge of everything. And listen, this isn't just some theoretical idea. This is happening right now. Governments are already building this stuff. Take Turkey, for instance. Back in 2021, their central bank announced a whole platform to create and test a digital Turkish lira. That just goes to show you how seriously countries are taking this race. And of course, these two paths offer totally different futures for our money.
All right, so we've met the two contenders. Now let's talk about the good stuff. What's the best case scenario for each one? What's the big promise they're selling us?
When it comes to private crypto, the promise is really all about empowering you. We're talking about financial freedom, right? No authority telling you what to do. You get much lower transfer costs because you're cutting out all the banks, and for a lot of people, it's a way to store value, a kind of digital shield against inflation. Plus, it's tough, it's easy to move around, it's all about the individual. Okay, now flip the coin. The promise of a CBDC is, well, it's totally different. It's less about the individual and more about making the whole system better. The pitch is faster payments 24/7, more security because everything's traceable, which helps fight crime, getting rid of the huge cost of printing and moving cash. And here's a big one: financial inclusion. The idea is to bring people into the financial system who don't have access to normal banks. And check this out. This really drives home one of the big advantages for CBDCs. Making physical cash is surprisingly expensive. I mean, it costs the US government more than 14 cents just to print a $100 bill. A completely digital currency? It could get rid of all those costs just like that.
And this is where that whole traceability thing becomes a huge deal for governments. Think about a country like Turkey. Let's call it the shadow economy, is massive. We're talking maybe 25 to 30% of their entire GDP.
So, because the CBDC can be tracked, the government could suddenly see all that activity, bring it out of the shadows, and slash tax evasion. That means a lot more money for the state.
Okay, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Of course not. There's a dark side to both of these ideas. Every promise has a potential risk attached. So, let's get into it. What are the big dangers we should be worried about?
With private crypto, the risks are probably ones you've heard before. The prices go up and down like a roller coaster. Super volatile. There's no legal guarantee. If you get hacked, your money's just gone. It can be used for illegal stuff, and there's always the risk of fraud. That's just what you get with a system that has no one in charge. But don't think the state-run version is perfect. It has its own scary side. The number one fear? A complete loss of privacy. Imagine the government being able to see every single thing you buy, ever. And having one central system may set a giant, juicy target for hackers. Then there's the risk that older folks or people without good internet just get left behind. And get this, a stable CBDC from another country, like a digital dollar, could even wreck a smaller country's own currency. And this chart really shows you that challenge of getting everyone on board. Look at this data on mobile banking in Turkey. The vast majority of users, 88%, are between 18 and 55. But what about older folks? Only 3% are over 66. If you suddenly force everyone to use digital money, you risk cutting off a huge chunk of the population. So really, it all boils down to this one massive trade-off. On one hand, a totally traceable system could pretty much wipe out financial crime. But on the other hand, that very same system could also mean the end of financial privacy. Period. That's the core conflict right there.
Which brings us to the final showdown, the question that really defines this whole fight for the future of your wallet. It's a choice between two huge competing ideas: freedom versus security.
So let's lay it out one last time. Here's the trade-off. You can have decentralized freedom that gives you control, it gives you privacy, but it also comes with a lot of risk and volatility. Or you can have centralized security. That gives you stability, it gives you safety, but the potential cost is giving up your privacy to constant surveillance and government control.
In the end, the winner here won't just be about the best technology. It'll be about what we, as a society, decide is more important. So as we barrel towards a future with less and less physical cash, the real question I want to leave you with is for you to answer. What do you actually value more? The untraceable freedom we get with a dollar bill in our pocket, or the super efficient but totally monitored security that a digital government promises? The entire future of money really does hang on that answer.